Hey everybody, welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I am Melanie.
And I'm Carla.
And we are on episode 99. So today we're going to be doing our top 9 summer themed games. Now, before we get into that, I just want to say we have a sponsor. So Games and Couples is sponsoring our podcast. They're part of Oshret Online Counseling, and they concentrate on couple counseling utilizing board games as a tool. So we think it's great. We're glad to be part of it. We'll have their link down below, so be sure to check them out. So with our top 9 summer themed game, we're doing summer theme, like games that reminds us of summer, not games to play like during the summer, like yard games type of thing. Because we did yard games before already. Yeah, so we wanted to change it up a bit. How was putting this list together for you, Carla?
Well, I discovered that my top games are summer games. So
Oh, okay.
and that's because but I didn't include them all because like all the farming games to me remind me of summer.
True.
I didn't include those in this list because I talk about them all the time. And then I didn't include Everdell because Everdell I pretty much will fit onto any possible list. So I didn't include that one as well. But I really do love summer.
Nice.
Fall and summer are my favorite seasons. And a lot of games do remind me of summer. I mean, that must be like a really popular theme, and it does draw people in. But what about you?
I didn't have the same problem as you. So my summer theme games definitely aren't necessarily related to like my top games per se. I mean, some of the games I've put definitely are games I enjoy, but then I've kind of picked games that had like specific element as like, okay, yeah, that's summer. And then you'll see when we go through the games, but yeah, so that's neat. Now, before we get talking about our top summer games, we're going to talk about, like we always do, about what we've been playing lately. So Carla, tell us. And I'm going to bring to the screen because I prepared this presentation and I don't know if you know what order I've put into. So this is the first one you sent me that you've been playing. So yeah, tell us about this one.
Evenfall. Oh, it's so good. So this game I had on my list of when we made that list of our wish list, and this was on there. And I had waited.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's such a good game. And I didn't wait to buy it. You couldn't find it in Canada. I don't know if it was anywhere else, but I was waiting for it to come out. And then it finally came out, so I snapped it up. I think, I don't know, either on Bliss or 401. I got the game and looked at it, and it's just a beautiful game. It's a card, like a tableau builder, basically, but there's worker placement as well. Now, this theme is you are a witch's coven, and you are trying to, there's a little bit of area control that you're trying to control some areas. That's not the main part of the game at all. But you are trying to hire specialists and also get these beautiful, the art on the cards is just beautiful, but you're getting these beautiful areas into your outer circle. So this is the top right of your player board, and you'll place these cards there. And then once they're up there, then you can harvest them, meaning the resources on the tops of the cards you can harvest. But you're also trying to get them down to your inner circle, which is the bottom of your tableau, because that's how you will score the end game points.
Nice.
Now, how you do this is on your turn, you can do a few things. You have 4 witches and you have 4 elders on your playing board. And the witches will go out into these areas to collect these cards. You also start with a handful of cards. They're different types. The ones that you're collecting is the places of power. That's how the witches will collect them. The cards that you start with are going to be rituals, specialists, all kinds of things that you'll put on top of those cards. So you are trying to basically like build up the best point system possible with, guess what, comboing. It is a combo fantastic game, but it's just awesome. And so I played a 2-hand because I thought I always learn a game 2-handed. I don't usually learn the solo mode first because that usually adds complication to it. So I learned it two-handed. I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to try the solo mode in this. And the solo mode is awesome. I love when they make a game that has the simplest solo mode, that you just do one little thing on their turn instead of like 18 different flow charts of what they might do. But this one is so simple, but it's such a good game. I can't wait to play it. Tomorrow I'm having a game day, and it's set up on my table already for us to play. I can't wait to play with other people and see what they think. But it is, I know people had described it as like a combination of like Everdell because of the tableau building, and now I can't think what the combination is, but it's just the best of both worlds, and the art is beautiful too. So
it's a really good looking game. Yeah, so here's the second one.
Yes, Conservas. So this one I had no knowledge about at all. A friend of ours, Ashley, had said, oh, our other friend Bernie has an extra copy. You need to get this. And I'm like, oh, do I? And because it's a solo only game. And so we were at your game day. Yeah, we were at your game day, and Bernie was there, and he's like, I have one more of these. Who wants it? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I do. And so I'm like, had no knowledge of it whatsoever, but I trusted her. She's like, you're going to like this because it's like a really cool bag building solo game. And so what you are is a fisherman, and you are trying to collect the most fish and turn them into, I think it's like the actual canned fish are called conservas. And that's like I think it's a Spanish word for like fancy canned fish.
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're pulling out, you start with a boat, and then there's always open water. And these are the cards in front of you. You can kind of see them there. And you'll pull out chips from a bag, and they will be fish and water. So you have to decide which card you're going to put it on. So like the open water, I think, holds 5 or 6 tokens. And then your starting boat just depends. You will randomly draw a boat. But you can only hold so many things on your boat. The rest will go underneath.
Nice.
So you need to like catch these fish, but you don't want to catch too many fish, because if you do, then they won't multiply and your bag will be empty within a few rounds.
Oh, okay.
So you need to keep some fish in the water, because then they will multiply. And then in the following rounds, you'll have lots more fish. So this one has like a scenario-based like campaign where it does the months of the year, and you start out with like an easy scenario in January, and you kind of work your way up. And there's different types of fish too. You only start with 2 types of fish in the first one, and then there's more as you go on. But you can also purchase upgrades, and those things will give you like easier ways to fish, or you can throw some chips back in the bag and pull some more out. You have to pay for your boat upkeep each round, and you can buy more boats, which you will have to do in order to like win these scenarios. It's so clever, and I never thought there would be a solo bag building game, but it's just awesome. And I think it's just coming out now. It was a Kickstarter, but it's coming out. Bliss had some copies. I don't know if they're out of stock now, but if you are a solo game player, this is awesome.
It looks cool. It looks really neat. And the card looks like the tin can with like the tab on the corner. Like it's thematic looking. Now, if you're listening to us on the podcast, we're trying something different on the YouTube version. So we're recording and sharing screen as we're recording. So if we're kind of talking about what we're seeing, that's why. So we'll try not to get too much in descriptions for the podcast listeners. But yeah, this is a really cool looking game.
Yeah.
All right. And you had one more you were going to talk about.
One more little game. Now, this one is called Pixies, and this is just a tiny, tiny box card game. The box looks bigger on the picture, but it's really small. And so what drew me to this, because the art it's going to be a little hilarious. Because some people will be freaked out by this art, and some will love it. I actually love it, but I've heard other people look at it and go, what the heck is that? So it's these little pixies, but they're made out of, what are they made out of?
Acorns?
Acorns, and then like little craft
like
things.
Acorns and pine cones, and it's weird looking. You got to look this up. If you're not watching this on the video on the podcast, pull out your phone, look up Pixies, and then you're gonna be like, what the heck? Honestly, just at the look of this fits our summer theme.
Oh yeah, you're right. It does,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what drew me to this game wasn't the art, because I hadn't even seen the box cover. I had heard people talk about it because it's a sequel to Sea Salt and Paper, which was a card game
Oh.
that I had purchased earlier this year, or maybe late last year. I can't remember, but I just loved it. Now, it didn't say it's the same game, but it's the same. It's a line of games. I don't even think
Okay.
it's the same designer, but. So I'm like, okay, well, it's, a small card game, and you know how much we love our small,
Yes.
fun card games. So I'm like, I need to get this. So a friend of ours was going to P Mediway in Edmonton, and it happened to be there. And so I'm like, please grab this for me. So she got this, and it is such a neat game. So what you do in this game is you're trying to build up this tableau of 9 cards, and it's a grid. It goes 1 to 3 on the top, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all in a, rows and columns like that. And how you do that is you're drafting. So you're drafting cards from the middle, and everyone will take 1 card, and then you go around. And if it's a 2-player, you're gonna I think it's a snake. No, it's not a snake draft. You'll get to do 2 each round. But what you do is, if you get a 5, you have to put it in the 5 slot, right? And then if I were to get another 5, I have to choose which one of those I want face up. Now, whichever one I choose will be face up. The other one will be underneath it. And now that I have a card underneath it, that will score at the end of the round.
Oh,
if I don't have cards underneath the every card by the end of the round, they won't score for their point calculation. They'll still score as... No, sorry. They won't score for their number. So if I had all 9 cards with cards underneath, I'd get to add up 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6. And so on, right? But then they also have a different type of scoring on them. As they all have different colors on them. I think there's 4. There might only be 4 colors: blue, green, yellow, and red. And then some of them will have different types of scoring on them as well. Like this number 7 red will score all the red cards, so you'll get 1 for each red. It might have some swirls on the top, and if it has 4 swirls, you're going to get 4 points right away. It might have X's on the top right, and those are negative points. So you're going to get all those kind of points as well, but you're also going to score for your highest color connecting bonus. So if I got 5 green cards connected, I'm going to get points for all those connections. So it's one of those games where you're trying to score 3 different ways, but trying to put it all together in one. And you play 3 rounds of this, and then it's just you'll add up the scores over the 3 rounds. And it might not sound awesome, but it is so fun. I love it. And there's a cool solo variant to it too.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my third one, Pixies. But yes,
This
you're
is...
right. It would totally fit the summer theme.
Totally. This is the kind of game that I get so concentrating on one type of scoring that I neglect the others.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got all my red cards together, and then after I'm like, oh, there's tons of X's on all these cards, so now I'm gonna get all these negative points. So yeah, you have to balance out the 3 ways of scoring, which is neat.
Nice. Yeah, this is a very unique looking game, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
So what have you been playing?
All right. Well, actually, me and Lee ended up playing a few games. And actually, me and Patrick played a few games just today, so they're not technically in my list, but the first one is Towers of Hercules. So I got this game sent to me, and I actually did kind of a playthrough video, so if you want to go on my YouTube channel, you can see it there. I've played this a few times, once on my own. I've played it with Lee. I've actually played it today with Patrick, because I asked him to play a game, not this one, because I needed to take pictures of it and try it out. And he pulled this one out first. He's like, well, I want to play this first. So just the look of it is so appealing. It's like this big box, and the lid kind of slides off, and you have all these pillars and these floors, and you're building the Tower of Hercules, which from what I understand, is an actual lighthouse that exists somewhere. And they were trying to make it as tall as possible to rival the tallest building that was existing at the time. But it's super cool because you flip a card and the card tells you what you need to, like how many pillars you get to put out. Or sometimes it tells you like a specific order you need to do. And then you put the pillars out, then you place the floor. And the goal is to put all the floors up and then the roof on top and not having collapse. It's kind of described as reverse Jenga. So I have collapsed many, many times in this game. Me and Patrick played it today and I won for the first time. I was like, oh my God, I'm taking a video quick. I'm like, it was exciting. And I'm surprised because
what's the materials, like what are they made of? Is it plastic or is it wood?
Yeah, like it's, and I think these ones were done, like the copy I got is 3D printed, so whatever material that is. Okay. But it's really well, because you know how 3D printed, you can see all the lines. You can't, it's not, like it's really well done. So it's not like it's really high quality one. But yeah, so this is one that I've played 3 or 4 times now. I'm going to bring it to FallCon as well. So it'll be available to play there. But it's one that's just been really enjoyable. I'm surprised how much I enjoyed it. And then it was great that Patrick asked to bring it to the table, right? So that's a big win for me. But it's just a game that's super easy to get to the table. It's super easy to get people interested in trying it. But yeah, so that was my first one, Towers of Hercules. And then I also played Axio Rota. So I have a game called Ingenious, and this is a version of this game. But instead of having these clunky tiles, like these kind of neat tiles you put on the board, these are kind of cardboard tiles. And each corner has like a black quarter of a circle with a symbol on it or not. And what's going to happen is you're going to add a tile to the tableau you're building. You start with the 4 and you score all 4 corners if you can. Now, if you put one corner down, you get to kind of score all the other symbol that matches the one you've added into the circle. So the most you could ever score is 3. Now, if you place one down that's actually blank, you get to pick the symbol you want to score. Now, there's 5 different symbols you can score on, and you have like your little kind of scoring sheet with like these cubes that you keep track of. And at the end of the game, it's whichever one is the lowest is your score. So you want to try to move all of them up along the way, so that you don't have one that's lagging all the way behind, because that's going to be your score. So you want to concentrate on moving them all up if you can. It plays really quick. It's super simple, but it's so satisfying. I played it like 2 or 3 times just this week. I quite enjoy that one. It's a Reiner Knizia game, and I'm a big fan of Reiner Knizia. So that one, Axio Rota, was really cool. And then the last one I want to talk about is Jaipur. So I own Jaipur, but I had like a really tiny, small travel edition. And I was like, okay, I want the real version. So we ended up getting it. Me and Lee played it a couple of times. It's one that is so satisfying to play. You're kind of collecting goods that you're going to sell in the market. Now, if you're the first one to sell, you're going to get the top tokens, which are worth normally more. But if you sell more at once, you get other bonus tokens for having like a big sell. And you can also collect camels, which you don't sell. They don't give you anything. But on your turn, you can either draw one card and add it to your hand and replace that card from the deck. Or you can take more than one card and then you add that to your hand, but you need to replace the ones you've taken from your hand or from your camels. And that's where the camels are really helpful, because it allows you to get more cards at once without having to give up what you have in your hand. Or on your turn, you could just take all the camels and then those get replaced. It's just such a simple game, but it's so satisfying to play. And the score almost doesn't matter, because you play 3 rounds. If you've sold the most and you have the most points, you get a win token. And it's the first one to get 2 win token who's the winner. So, like, because the first time, like, Lee won by a lot, but it didn't matter that it was a big gap. Then the next round was like a really tight win, but I won. And then the third game was still pretty tight, but then he won. So technically, if we counted all the points, he would have like won by a lot, but he won anyways. So, but yeah, Jaipur is so good. It's a fairly small game, but it's so satisfying.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a classic game for sure.
Yeah. So this is the three games that I ended up playing this week. So now we're going to get started with our top 9 list for our summer themed games. So Carla, we'll start with you. What is your number 9?
My number 9 is Santa Monica. Now, this made in 2020 by Josh Wood. This one, I mean, you can even look at the cover and you can see summer on the cover. You see a beach and water. Now, in the game, you have you start with this cardboard players your player mat kind of thing, which has at the top of it is a beach and the bottom is a building. And so you
Okay.
can fit a card on beside the top or beside the bottom. And if you draft a building card, it'll be placed on the bottom. If you draft beach, it'll be on the top. Now, what you're trying to do is trying to get as many points, obviously, as possible. But how you do that is you're going to place either a beach or building card, and then depending what it gives you on the top or bottom, depending which card it is, it could give you different people. Now you have your tourists, you have your what are they called now? The green guys, and then you have the blue guys, and so you have these different types of people. It's tourists. Oh, now I can't remember. Anyway, it's 3 different types of people, and you're trying to get them moved around on these cards because some cards will have spots for them. It'll have like, say, like a beach volleyball game, and they want 4 people there and certain colors of people, so that you need to get those people moved up to that spot. Now, it's neat because in some of the cards, it'll tell you how much movement you have to move. So you'll move like certain colors around the board and try to get them in there. And if they don't reach the spot, then they really are worth nothing. So it's quite strategic because you have to plan what cards you're getting and to make sure you're going to be able to move the people, and not just move them, get the people, because some of the cards will give you them. So you need to get them and then get them moved to those spots. Like some of the cards on the beaches are like there's a wedding and you can have as many orange people there as you want. And then some on the bottom are like buildings or like restaurants and things like that. But it's a very unique game. I've never played anything like it. I don't get to play it in my game group. They don't like this game, but I'm gonna find people who like it because for some reason it's a satisfying game when you are placed, like you see this beach scene at the end of the game and you have all these buildings and all these beach cards because you can go to the left or the right of your board, and then you're gonna just try to get everybody in their exact right place. And it never happens. You're always going to be short some, and then you do get negative points for the ones that don't reach the areas if they're just like lurking about and don't get anywhere. But it's just such a unique type of mechanic that I haven't seen this before. But yeah, it's my number 9, Santa Monica.
I bought this one just a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't tried it
did you?
yet. Yeah, it's one that I hear
Yeah.
lots of good things about. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
somebody was selling it and I was buying another game from him. I was like, I'm going to get this one too. So I'm super
Well, now,
excited
one
to
thing-
play it.
I didn't
Yeah.
say how you draft. So you draft cards. There's a top row and a bottom row, and
Yeah.
it can be either card in the rows. But you'll draft one. You always draft from the bottom row. And you'll pull that card, and then depending where you pulled from, you're gonna move this van, and I think it's a person, and you'll move
Okay,
those
cool.
around. And if you happen to draft a card from one of them, you're gonna get a little bonus.
Nice.
Sometimes you'll get sand dollars, and those will help for payment in some cards, or they'll help. You have these bonus cards to the side that you can pay sand dollars to use those, and they'll let you move more people around, or it'll give you some people, or it'll just give you some different things throughout the game. And then there's also end game goals that you want to try to reach,
Nice.
and there's like a whole stack of different ones you can use, so you can mix and match different bonuses and different end game goals. But yeah, no, it's one you'll like. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I think so. It's so good looking and definitely
Yeah.
summer feel looking at it.
Yeah.
Good pick, Carla. All right, my number nine, and it's funny because I don't remember off the top of my head what's on my list. So my number nine is Parks, because Parks is a game about going on hikes and visiting national parks, and then you can stop and have camp, like set up a campsite. So it definitely has a summer feels, because mostly us in Canada, you can only do that during the summer. You're not going to be able to do this year round, right? It's going to be covered in snow. Now, the components of this games are so cool. You have all these different tokens, wooden shaped tokens, that looks amazing. And you have all these animal shape as well that you can get. And then they're all unique. They're all different animals you have in there. Plus, you have the artwork of all the different parks. And what's really interesting is, because you do a couple of rounds, but every round you add to the trail. So you kind of add more things. You have two workers, and you can kind of move ahead and stop in different places to collect what's there. Now, you can't stop where somebody already is unless you have a campfire to share the spot so you can activate the same space. But you can only use that one time. Afterwards, it's used up. And then you can move as far forward as you want, but then you can't go backwards. So if you're trying to accomplish the most as possible, you kind of like try to dilly along. But then the other player was going to be using up some of the spaces as well. So it kind of has that into play. I really enjoy this one. And once you reach the end of the trail, you have collected all these tokens. You can spend them to get a card that represents one of the national park that you can go visit, and you're kind of collecting that, and then you're going to get points for everything that you collect. It's such a neat game. It looks so good, and to me it has a really strong summer feel. So that was my number nine, and that's Parks.
Yes, good choice. All right, my
All
eight.
right, yes, let's go to our number
my number
eight.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're on number eight.
Yeah, my number 8 is Evergreen, and this is made in 2022 by Helmar Hawk. Now, this is supposedly a sequel to Photosynthesis, I believe.
Oh,
like
okay, I
this
could
one
see that.
better.
Yeah.
Photosynthesis is very mean. You can destroy people in that game. This one, you don't. You do your own thing on your own board, and you. The only thing you can take from people is cards when you're drafting cards. Now, how you play this one is you have this beautiful player board that has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6 different colored sections in it. And they all have little, it's a dual layered board, so it all has indents for spots where you can put sprouts, trees, shrubs, and lakes. And around the board is the scoring.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The scoring.
Your scoring track?
Scoring track, that's it. And then, so as you're scoring, you can go around, and then you have like a 10, 20, or sorry, 100, 200, 300. So if you get around the track, then you add one to this 100, whatever. But what you're doing is you're drafting these cards. Now you have these beautiful cards that you're drafting, and they show, portray different terrain on them. Now, also on the top, they're going to have some symbols that can either destroy the cards that are already up there, because when you draft cards, there's always going to be one left at the end, and that's going to go up to this pile that will determine endgame scoring for those different types of terrain. But as you're drafting them, it'll show a terrain, and that will be where you're going to do your actions in. And then on the bottom, it's going to give you a certain action. So you're going to do that action in that terrain, but then you also get to do one of the basic actions in that terrain. So what you're going to be doing is you're either going to be placing out sprouts, or you're going to be growing those sprouts into small trees, or growing small trees into big trees. You might be adding bushes, which will connect your forests, because at the end of the round you will score your largest connected forest.
Oh, okay, cool.
You could also be putting lakes down, and those will just help things grow around it. So you're trying to, like, it sounds easy, but it's also like photosynthesis. The sun is moving around. So the first round is going to start at the top of the board, and you're going to score all your trees from that perspective. So the sun is shining on those trees. So if you have a small tree, it'll be worth 1 point. If you have a big tree, it's worth 2. But if a big tree is blocking a little tree, it's not going to score, because it will block 2 spaces. A little tree is going to block 1 space. So you're trying to, strategically put your trees out or grow your shrubs into trees, but not that so that they're not blocking each other. The thing is, the next round, that sun is going to move a quarter turn. So just like a clock, it'll move from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And so what you may have planned for that round can really be messed up for the next round, because you're like, oh, I put them all so that they're all spread out. But now on this side, they're all lined up with each other, so I'm not going to score those. But you are going to be drafting more cards, and so you'll be getting to do more actions. So there's 4 rounds. You go from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Nice.
And you do that. And then how you score at the end is, you still do your scoring for your largest connected forest, but you will also score with the cards that are set off to the side. The one that nobody drafted will be in piles, and say the brownish terrain, I can't remember what that actual terrain is, but if it had 6 little symbols on it, that would mean each of your large trees in the brown area are going to score 6 points. So as you're drafting, you might not just be drafting your exact action you want. You might be like leaving a card there that you have lots of, or will have lots of big trees in it. So again, it's not just the one thing you're doing. You're also trying to leave cards, kind of like that arboretum where I'm going to score those. I do want to put more there, but I want to score those as well. So
okay.
It's really thinky that way, but it's nice that nobody can come in, for me anyway, can come in and, just kill all your
You
trees.
create your own mess.
Yeah. And there's like a cool expansion coming out that has something with cactuses and something. I can't remember what else it is.
And I think the picture I'm sharing has the cactus in there. So
no, those are sprouts. Those are sprouts.
Oh, are they? Oh, I thought they were cactus.
They do
okay,
look
perfect.
like it, but yeah, those
right? They're sprouts. Okay. Yeah, that's so cool. It's neat how it seems to kind of combine a few different tree-themed games into one, and it looks gorgeous. I had not heard of this one.
Oh, really? Yeah, and all the trees and shrubs, they're all wooden, like tiny apples, but the color pattern that they did in this game, and it just looks beautiful. And it's, to me, it reminds me of summer, because it's, you're just growing. But also, it's nice I can play on my deck, and it's not like cards won't fly away. There's a few cards that you're playing, you can kind of tuck those under things, but there's the
it's
tile,
nice.
The wood meeples in there, so they're so
cool. Yeah, no, it's a great looking game for sure. Perfect. All right, and that was your number 8, Evergreen. So my number 8 is... It's Unscrewed. So we played this one a little while ago. Actually, Unscrewed is on Kickstarter right now. We played the prototype, but it was like the final copy, but it was before it was printed. And it was so much fun. Now, my character was Mosquito. And come on, Mosquito, like that just screams summer to me. So there's a picture, if you're watching the video, of my character, and this theme is like hilarious because it's like we're each a character from a cartoon, and we're competing with each other to the death to keep our spot on the network, because they're cutting and they're only going to keep one episode or one TV show, cartoon show. But this kind of just encapsulate like the cartoon mayhem that you would see in like their 90s cartoons. And there's bombs, there's anvils, and you're moving around because it's a programming game, and you're trying to eliminate the other players by killing them or getting them to fall off the board or something. But each round the board gets smaller and smaller as well. But what's cool is even if you are eliminated, you can come back into the game. Plus the board, like there's a lot of different maps you can play, so there's tons of replayability. I was actually backer number 6. I was hoping for number 1, but backer number 6. It's been on Kickstarter for a day, and they're over 60% funded already. So they're doing good. It's an amazing game, and it's quick and chaotic and just tons of fun. So I know he's going to be at FallCon as well. So if you're attending FallCon, be sure to go and check it out and give this game a try. It's so fun. Now, you played it, Carla, too. What was your character?
I was the bunny. I want to say
Slappy? Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So that's my number 8. Unscrewed, specifically for the character Mosquito.
Awesome. All right, my number 7 is Fyfe.
Perfect. So now number 7.
Yeah. My number 7 is Fyfe, made in 2022 by Kosh. Kosch, that's the name. Now, this is another abstract kind of strategy game with a theme, though. You can see, well, you might not be able to see, but it's like a beach cover again. Now, you are basically building out this grid of different, I'm going to say like tribe people and like vegetables. And now I'm trying to think what the other things are. But how you're doing this is you're drafting, or you're pulling from a bag, and then you can draft one and put it on your board. Now you can either you put it on your board, but then you have the option of grabbing one of your scoring tiles, and those will go on the outsides of your board. So they'll either go at the top or the side or on a diagonal. And so you will score all the columns, rows, and then also the big diagonal that goes down the one side. Now, the scoring tiles, we all have the same sets of them. Like, I have the exact ones that you have. But then there's also some different ones in the middle that we can draft. And we'll take, that will be a little bit different. Like, one might be you want all of one color, but all different things. So, like a vegetable, like a tribe person, now I can't remember, and I can't see on the thing what the differences are. But or you might want to have like all one type of vegetable or something. So it's interesting because you choose when you put the scoring tiles down. So you can wait until you have stuff down and then place them. But a lot of times, you're not going to score all of them. You're going to have things sticking there and hoping you're going to get the tiles you need to fulfill that scoring, but you won't. So it's trying to get the best of what you can do on your board. It has, the little bottom has little spots. They look like seashells or clams that are open. Those are the spot where you'll put your drafting tile ready for the next round to play.
Oh, cool.
And you always have the option of 2 that you can choose. But it's just so pretty, and it's like wooden little tiles too. They're or chips.
Oh, okay,
not, the scoring tiles are cardboard, but it's just so pretty. And like, again, it's a tiling one you can like play on the patio with a beautiful summer theme, and so thinky and so puzzly. And yeah, that's my number 7, Fyfe.
That's
Fyfe.
a beautiful looking game. This is one Fyfe or Fyfe. Yeah, who knows? Yeah. I would say that's Fyfe.
Yeah, I thought.
But yeah, it's another one that I had not heard of before. So, but it looks gorgeous. Now it's like got all these amazing, beautiful games, and then I have my list. So wait till you see what I have. My number 7 is Dig, and Dig is part of the Paco game, which is a tiny, tiny little game that's the size of a small pack of gum. I've played this one quite a few times, actually, mostly with Lily. We just really like this one, and it's really interesting. So you will have a bunch of cards in a row, and they'll have like a little hole with like a couple of smelly things sticking out, and you can't see on the one side what it is, but the smelly have different colors to tell you what color bone is going to be in there. And you have your own dog, and you'll move your dog back and forth between the different spots, and then you can kind of move, and then if you're on the spot, then you can take the card and dig it up and see what you got. And it's like a set collecting, and you're trying to collect as more bones as possible of different colors. But at the same time, when you move things, you take the cards that's at the back and you fill in the gaps you've created. So the bowls, because there's a dog bowl for each colored bones, will determine at the end of the game which value each bones is going to have. So you're trying to collect what you think is going to have the most value, but as you play, that's going to change, right? And then sometimes you kind of move as okay, I'm going to dig there, but then things get shifted and it's like, oh man, it's not what I was hoping for anymore. This is a quick, tiny, tiny game, but it's so satisfying to play. And I think, like dog digging up their bones, that's a summer thing. So that's my number 7, Dig. Have you
Those
played
cards
this
look
one,
super
Carla?
cute. No, I don't have this one. Those cards look really cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super cute. So that was my number 7. All right, so now we're into number 6.
All right, my number 6 is New York Zoo, made in 2020 by Uwe Rosenberg. Now, this
Nice.
one, anytime I go to a zoo, it reminds me of the summer. I used to take the kids to the zoo every summer. We have a zoo in Calgary, not far from us, that
Mm-hmm.
was a beautiful place. I don't, at this point in my life, I don't always agree with zoos, animals in captivity. So I haven't been since, but I like to
Mm-hmm.
think that most zoos now have more of a conservatory, their conservation way of doing things. Hopefully, I don't know that for a fact,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not my choice of place anymore. But I did have great memories of it as a young adult and as a child too. And so, New York Zoo is a tile laying game, a polyomino tile laying game, and you are building up your zoo with different enclosures and placing animals in them. And how you're getting those enclosures is you're drafting them around from a rondelle. So you were moving this little white elephant around a rondelle, and you were drafting a tile, either a tile or you can draft animals as well. Um, and it's the same, everyone's using the same central rondelle. So you're choosing, if I choose a enclosure, I will place it on my board, and then I can always invite or place an animal that I have in one of my homes. I
Mm-hmm.
only have 3 spots for them to place, to have 3 separate animals. I can place one. Anytime I place an animal, I can place that exact same one. So if I had 2 in my home spots, I could place them both. Now, what you're trying to do is fill up those enclosures, because once you fill them up, then you will breed. Once you get to, like, there's a,
Mm.
or sorry, once you have 2 animals, you will breed. Just like in true Uwe Rosenberg, anytime there's 2 animals, you get one more. You never get more
True.
than one. If there's 8 animals in there, you still just get one.
Oh,
But
okay.
when you fill that enclosure, then you get to draft from some of these bigger tiles. They're like kind of carnival looking tiles, but they will like help fill up your board. And all this is a race to fill your board. So the
Okay.
first person to fill it, that's it, done. Like, I don't think you
Oh,
even
okay.
get
It's like a race.
equal. You might get equal amount of turns to do it, but that's it. And so it sounds easy, but these tiles are they're different types of polyominoes. Some are quite big, so once you
Mm-hmm.
put one down and like start to fill up your board, there are sometimes spots where you're never going to be able to put a tile there, so you have to wait until you've filled an enclosure and grab all these little ones and fill in these spots.
Right.
That's usually how I end my game, is I have a bunch of like little single spots that I have to fill in, and I'm just trying to get these little 1 squares to fill in. I'm not even sure if I've ever won this game in a multiplayer game, because I've come very close, but I somehow keep some little single spots. But it's still so satisfying, because you're, trying to fill them up, breed as much as you can, because when that elephant goes around the rondelle, it'll choose what is going to breed. But then if you have those animals to breed, you get a bonus breeding. So you're trying to have all kinds of like possible breedings happening in case you like someone lands or passes that area. It's one of those games, again, like any kind of race game. As I get near the end, I start to get like my heart racing, and I'm like,
Anxiety.
I'm so close. I'm so close. Is this gonna happen? Am I gonna do it? But
That's
it's
funny.
awesome, and yeah, that's my number 6, New York Zoo.
Nice. I've definitely heard of this one before, but it's not one that I've got to play yet.
Good.
All right, my number 6 is Table Golf Association. This is a game that I kickstarted through our game store. They do kind of group buys, and I forgot all about it. And then they called me, he's like, hey, it's here. So, I mean, golf is a summer sport. In Canada specifically, you can't play golf really any other time of the year. It's mostly in the summer. But this one is kind of really interesting because you have all these tiles, and you'll use these tiles to create a golf course. and you can make like there's in the books there'll be different maps of different golf courses you can create small ones, you can create huge ones, and depending on like you have this little plastic piece that has a ball inside that you would flick, and then you have like a weather dice that kind of determines the weather, which is gonna affect how things are played, and you kind of flick your thing, and then if you land on sand then certain things happen, if you land on water certain things happen, sometimes you have to flick with your non-dominant hand or whatever, and you're trying to get your golf ball in the hole, and there's actually a little hole you're trying to get into. Now, if you have a mat, like a table mat, I would recommend you play with it with like the rubber side up so that the pieces don't move around, because that was one of the complaints that I had heard, like you're readjusting your piece all the time. But if you have them on the rubber side, then it's not. Also, keep in mind there is like a piece of paper that tells you what each tiles are, what they look like on, because they're double-sided. And if you're doing the big map, you have to use the exact tile in the right spot to make the map works. But they're numbered, and then there's a sheet that tells you what each tiles are. And I didn't know that at first, and it took me forever to try to get this map together. But it's neat, and I think probably it's the most golf-like golf board game there is out there. And yeah, it was kind of like a happy surprise. I was like, oh, your Kickstarter's here. And I was like, which one? So I'd forgot about this completely, but I haven't got to play it a lot. I brought it at Melcon, and I brought it at a Legion game day that I had kind of hosted, but I kind of just quickly messed with it, but I haven't had the chance to really get it to the table and play it kind of properly. But to me, it just fits on this summer-themed list. So that was my number 6.
Yeah, I completely didn't put. I have a golf game too, and and I didn't even include it in this list, but it totally would have made my top 9.
It would fit, yeah.
I didn't choose that. I think I
Nice.
just went straight to beach and parks and forests when I was
Nice.
going through all my games, kind of thing. But I don't know why I didn't think of golf. I'm a big golfer. I golf like multiple
Yeah.
times a week. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Yeah, good thinking. All right, my number 5 is a crossover.
Oh, yes.
So that's parks. Now, I am a hiker as well. I love to hike, mostly and actually not so much in the summer. I like to hike in the spring and fall because it is too hot in the summer.
True.
Hiking requires a lot of energy, and even in the cooler temperatures, it's hot once you start moving. So I prefer it to be a cooler temperature. Lots of people, though, lots of Canadians hike in the summer. They love the heat, and they love to hike in the heat. I do not. So the only thing in Canada is, though, that it's very... it's bear season in spring and summer on those mountains. They're either coming down or they're going up. So it's risky, but I would love to see a bear. I would love to see a bear on a hike. I know people all think I'm crazy. They're like, what is wrong with you? I don't have a fear of wild animals.
You probably should.
It's a weird thing, but I don't. I've come across several moose. Never, ever have they ever charged me. I've come close, very close, and I've come, across deer, coyotes, all kinds of things. Never, ever have I gotten a fear, and have they ever threatened me. When people tell me that they, that moose will charge, I feel like they're provoking them. I feel like I probably have ran into moose probably at least 30 times in my life, walking my dogs, hiking, whatever. Never, ever have they ever done anything aggressive. So I don't believe people. I feel like they're provoking
Maybe you
these
should a
animals.
little.
Bears, I do believe that. But I always carry bear spray, but I never hike alone. We hike in big groups. So that's probably why we never see them, because they don't typically come around large groups. But no, I've taken a friend on a hike once, and that she took her son the following week, and she said, guess what happened on the way down? I'm like,
oh no,
you seen a bear? And she's like, yeah, we did on the way down.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but so anyway, parks though is a beautiful rendition of all the American parks. I really would like them to make a
Canadian
small
version.
expansion of the Canadian parks, because we have some beautiful parks here. And it's such a neat game. It's like a perfect gateway game because it's very simple rules. But if you do play it with a bunch of gamers, it does get quite strategic, because then you can start, blocking their spots. You can start taking
True.
their cards.
Oh,
You
for
can,
sure.
Like it's a different game when you play it with gamers. And it's still so fun. I think the mechanics are awesome, but still so simple. But yeah, that's my number 5, parks.
Nice. Perfect. So my number 5 is Fly. It's another Paco game. And this is a game about going on a picnic and having to swat all the flies that are bugging you while you're on your picnic. And you'll have these cards and you kind of create your blanket with it, and the cards will have little flies on it. Now each fly has like a symbol on it, different color, different shape, and you're trying to get different combination where you can get different symbols together or different colors together, and you get to collect these cards and you score them at the end. Now you take the card or the box that the card comes in, and you put this little summer sky on top of it, and that shows the height that you need to have your fly spotter at least, and then you drop it and try to flat fly. And if you cover a fly completely, you get to take that tile or that card and you add it into your what you've collected, and then you shift the cards over, so as you play it gets smaller and smaller, but you've collected all these flies, and then you're trying to get these sets to score. It's hilarious. It's one that we've played honestly like lots, because it's so small, it's so silly, but it is really satisfying. And sometimes but then it shifts, like, oh man, I got this fly, but I didn't want that fly, so it's hilarious. And that is my number 5, Fly.
Yeah, that looks really cool. I haven't heard of that one at all.
It's silly.
All right, my number 4 is Downtown Farmers Market, made in 2022 by Johan Bienvenuto and Alexandre Dois. Now, farmers market to me is summer. That's here. We only have our outdoor farmers market.
True.
We start in May long and we end in Thanksgiving weekend in October. So that's the first or second weekend usually in October. So it's a short period of time throughout the year, but that's where we can go and get the freshest of fresh vegetables, mostly local. Sometimes they have some BC stands creeping in, but most of it is Alberta grown vegetables and fruits. There's some crafts there. There's all kinds of different things. Then you always have like music playing. You have your mini donuts. So there's always like a smell and a feel to the farmers market that it just feels like summer to me. Now this game that's the theme of the game. I mean, it's again an abstract strategy, but it's such a cool theme that they put on this. Now I just found out that this game was actually remade into this theme. It used to be called Lost Seas, and it had a piratey sea theme. It's actually on BGA as that theme, but it was remade into this one. This art is very plain and simple, but it works for this game because in the Lost Seas, it's kind of like, it's really cool art, but it's kind of complicated iconography. So it's kind of tricky to see what you're needing to do, because what you do is you have 4 tiles lined up like top to bottom, so in a column, and then you have 4 tiles on top, and you are just trying to plug in these different tiles to meet those scoring tiles, and you're drafting them from a central row so that whatever scores from the top bottom will also affect the scoring on the left side. Now, it's like a Sudoku-y type kind of puzzly game, but it is really nice to have the simple iconography as opposed to the beautiful complicated stuff, because then it's easy to see what you actually need and what you need to like put down, and it's easy to look over and go, oh, you need those 3 cheese, yeah, I'm gonna take those, and just because I need one, so it's kind of neat that way. You can kind of hate draft a bit, but you're just trying to score all those columns and rows as perfectly as you can. You'll never get them all.
No. Yeah.
Well, maybe you will. I don't know if you could do it, but because there's so many different types of scoring tiles you can use, and they'll flip over and then they're completely different. So you will mix and match, and you'll never have the same game. The two-player version is neat because you do draft a tile and then you get rid of a tile. So that is a little bit different because, you know, you're like, I don't need this tile, but you do need that tile, so it's gone. And it's such a good game. I just recently, we did our drafting for our next episode coming up, and I was surprised where this went, but we'll talk about that at the end. Yeah, and that's my number 4, Downtown Farmers Market.
Yeah, I played this one with you the first time, and I've since gotten my own copy as well.
Oh, nice.
It was really, I was really impressed with it. It was good. So I'm going to have to take a quick break. So I'm just going to pause here and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. We're recording a little earlier in the day than we normally can. And we're doing that because I'm not working today. And we're not working today because I gave myself food poisoning. So it's not an ideal situation. I'm feeling quite uncomfortable, but perfect time to record, right? So, okay, let's get back to my number 4. My number 4 is Topiary. And Topiary is about people visiting a garden where you have those shaped bushes. And it's, you got like, everybody gets like a set of wooden meeples, and you have this tile that are all face down, and you kind of draw a tile and you can replace the one that you drew, either with the one that you drew, one from your hand, and you're trying to get a row where you're going to put your meeple and he looks down. Now you can go like straight on, you can go angles, so you can put your meeple, but they're going to score for like more points if they see topiaries that are of the same suit, like, or the same shape. So if you see a couple of whales in a row, you're going to score more for that. But the bigger the topiary is in front of you, you're not going to see if there's smaller ones behind. So you're trying to get, so like from small to big as well, and ideally the same shape if you can. And you place them all around, flipping until the garden's all flipped up, and then you score each of your meeple to see who's got the highest score. Now, one thing I want to point out with this one as well is I love how inclusive it is, because each of the different meeples have different shape. One of them is a person in a wheelchair, and I just love that about this game. I thought that was so cool. It's a game that I quite enjoyed. I played it for the first time and ended up buying my own copy because I played it at Car Treat, and then ended up wanting to get my own copy because it was just so cool. And that's my number 4. Topiary.
Yeah, this is one of the games that of yours that I've been meaning to want to try and play, but I hadn't seen it the last few times, so I wonder, is it hiding somewhere?
There's a lot of games, so it's hard to see.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, I have 2 rooms now that my games are in. It's not just all in one room anymore.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Okay. Number 3 is Cascadia, made in 2021 by Randy Flynn. Now this one, it again just speaks summer. The cover of the box is a giant elk, moose, whatever you want to call. They call it different in Europe, and then in the back is this landscape of a mountain and water and hills and valleys, and it's just beautiful. And you don't see a whole ton of art in the game. You have these scoring cards of each of the 5 animals that will score differently, and you draft these tiles of terrain along with an animal tile. And they're all lined up, so you need to take those exact pairs. Unless you happen to have these acorns, then you can take from different sets. But you are just placing these tiles next to your start 3-part terrain tile and trying to connect like terrain, but also try to connect animals in the way they want to be scored. So it just depends. Some of the bears might want to be in only groups of 2, and so you don't want any other bears around them. The elk want to be in usually lines. Sometimes they're different formations. The salmon wants to be in a salmon run, and it's usually like kind of like the longest salmon run. The foxes, they kind of are different. They want to have different animals around them. Then there's the eagles that want to be usually alone or have line of sight with different animals. It's just such a simple tile drafting game with these simple wooden animal tiles that you'll place on the terrain. You can only ever have one of the tiles on the terrain, but it's just so satisfying. The puzzle in this, the look of the game. Another one you can play on the deck because it's most tiles. There's only a few cards showing, and it's such a satisfying game. It's another gateway game that you could totally teach to anyone. The people who never played games could pick this one up, but still, it's still just so fun and beautiful. And that's Cascadia, my number 3.
Yeah, that's a good one. And it is just an easy one to teach and get played. I agree. That's a good pick. All right, my number 3 is Honey Buzz. I played this only once. Honestly, I've only played it once. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. It's like an economic game. You're a honey bee, but like from what I was like reading or up on it, you're a honeybee accountant or something like that. But you're trying to get the most money out of the honey you're creating. Now, what sold me on this, first of all, is the honey, because you have like these gummy looking shaped honeys of like different colored, like depending on the type of honey that you're making, that are just so sad. I just want to play with them and squeeze them, and like it's so cool. The components in this games are amazing. Now the deluxe has like the fuzzy bees, which I could do without. Yeah. Honestly, it has like this weird fuzziness to it.
Of those fuzzy bees, yeah.
Yeah, but you're creating your hive and you're trying to collect this honey, then you're selling the honey, trying to sell them at the highest value. It's just, and I mean, like I said, I've only played this game the one time. I just remember really enjoying it. It was really interesting. You have these different goals you're trying to accomplish. But it just screams summer. The artwork, the theme is definitely a summer themed game. And I think it's a cool one. This is one that's on my wish list. I do eventually want to get a copy of this and get it played some more. And it's just so neat, and honestly kind of has like a unique feel to it. I don't know that there's tons and tons that feels quite like this one does. But I quite enjoy that one. And that's my number 3, Honey Buzz.
Yeah, it is a unique game, and just building up that hive and trying to figure out how you're going to be able to do the actions with how you place the tiles is very thinky. And then just to throw the economic part into it, and the worker placement, it's really neat. I didn't even include this one on my giant list, so it may have made it. But yeah, I don't own this game either. A friend owns it, so I probably won't because I can play hers. But yeah, it's a really good game. I agree.
Nice.
Good choice.
Thanks.
All right. So my number 2 is coming up here, and that I had talked about at MelCon. Because our birthday is the first day of summer. That morning before I left, I was like, do you have this game? No? Okay, then I'm bringing it. This game reminds me of summer, and that's Azul Summer Pavilion, made in 2019 by Michael Kiesling. It's just the colors. Other than there's no summerness in the game other than the bright colors, basically. You see on the box,
and in the title.
Yeah, in the title. These bright mosaics, and I think it's maybe some portraying sand in the background, but other than that, again, it's another abstract strategy, but still, I just think of it. Maybe it's the brightness for me and the name of it, and that I love Azul, so I can say, oh, that's my summer version of Azul. But I just love this game, and it's now on BGA, so I can play it there.
Nice.
There's like a solo variant, fan-made variant that is really cool. And it differs a bit from Azul. You are still drafting your tiles from these factories. You're actually not placing them on your board until the end of the round, which is different from Azul. You will draft the same way as in Azul, but you will wait until all the tiles are gone, and then you will place them on your board. And your board is a group of mosaics. So you have each color of mosaic around the board, and the middle is a multicolored mosaic that you will build, and it has to have all different colors in that one. And how you're placing these tiles is each mosaic has 6 different flowers or petals or whatever you want to call them. And so whenever you, like, say I'm placing in the red one and I'm putting 3 red, I will place 1 red and drop 2 into this little box that collects the tiles, which is nice. And then I'll score 3 points. And then if I were to place next to it 4 red, I would put 1 down and drop 3 into the box and score 4 points. Now, the neat thing about it is these mosaics all connect. So if you enclose an area with 2 mosaics, you get a bonus. And there's a whole other board that has these bonus tiles that you get to draft from. So you just get extra tiles. Now, the easier enclosures give you 1 tile. A little more difficult enclosure will give you 2. And then the big one at the top where you're scoring if you've placed a 5 and 6 tile, that'll give you 3 bonus tiles. So you'll get to draft those, and you can place them away, or you can save up to 4 tiles from round to round. Each round there's always a joker tile, so it's 1 color each round, and it's different. So you might draft next round's joker tiles, and then just save them for next round. And then the end, how you score, instead of like the rows and columns like in Azul, you are scoring for however many completed mosaics you got, and you're scoring if you've gotten all the 1s covered, if you've gotten all the 2s covered, 3s or 4s, and then also if you have that middle mosaic. So those are all the different types of scoring. It still feels like a bit of Azul because you're drafting the same way. You have those really nice, chunky acrylic tiles that you get to handle, and it's just a different way of playing it, and I just love it. And yeah, that's my number 2, Azul Pavilion.
Yeah, it fits. It's in the title, so I love it. I did enjoy this one quite a bit. The stained glass one is the only one I haven't tried yet. So... all right, my number 2 is Dandelions, because come on. Lee has been fighting with dandelions all summer because the neighbors don't mow as much as we do, and then we get a bunch of their dandelion seeds onto our yard. And this is just such a portrait of summer to me. And this game is a small, neat game. Like, you get 3 different colored dice, and then you get all the dice of the one color, and you roll them all. And it's a roll and move game. So once you have all the dice collect and rolled in front of you, you're going to pick on which one you want to play. Then you move your little dandelion seed around the board and around the different tile that kind of forms a circle. And where it lands, you would put the dice you played there. And so you kind of planting your seeds in these different garden. Now, where the dandelion seeds land, it's worth that many points. So the one garden is worth 1 point, one's worth 2, 3, 5, and 8. So ideally, you want to get them in the 8 one. But if you plant a garden in a garden and there's other dice there with the same value as yours, you take all of those collected pips the same pips, and you move them into the next garden. So there's kind of interesting things with that. Now, there's also an area control element to it. So whoever has the most dice in the one garden gets to also score all the pips of their own dice. So it's just a really interesting, beautiful, quick, neat game that's just perfect for the summer with the dandelion theme. And that's my number 2.
Now, is that in the same box as like Mountain Goats? Like, is it that
Yeah.
line of games?
Yeah.
No, I like
Yeah.
Mountain Goats. I haven't played Dandelions yet, but I would like to play that one.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just such neat, like, snappy games that you can play, like a
Exactly.
kind of thing. Yeah, I love the color of it too. It looks cool.
It's so pretty. Yeah. All right.
Right.
So
my
we
number
are
1,
now into our number 1.
Yeah. And I
Oh,
gave
sorry,
you
I
the
forgot
wrong-
to change the name here. It still says Travis because I copied. Did you? Because, yeah, this
gave
is what
you-
I have.
Yeah, well, it's almost exactly the same, but it's actually Unfair is the game that I have and play.
Oh,
I'm not sure
yes.
if I typed in Funfair to you because I don't even have that one, haven't played it. It's exactly the same game, basically, but unfair can also be unfair. But it's the same theme. You were building up a theme park. And to me, that was summer as a child. I loved my theme parks. I loved going to the fair, to Callaway Park and all that. As an adult, not so much a fan of big large groups anymore of people and standing in lines, but it was a childhood for sure. The fair was always the best time of summer for me. And this game is awesome. You are building all these different attractions and rides in your tableau, trying to add extra features to them, and you're also trying to hire people. Now, the thing is, the neat thing about it is this game comes with all these different types of like things of cards. So you can play with the gangsters, you can play with pirates.
Oh, okay.
You can play, and so everybody who's playing gets to choose one of them, and then you're going to shuffle them all in, and everybody can use any of the cards because you draft them from the middle. And so I might have like a pirate themed ride, and then I might have a gangster ride, and then I might have a dinosaur or something. But the neat thing is you're also drafting some of these blueprints, and these blueprints are going to tell you like specific things that it wants in your theme park. And so if you can do those things, you will get big points at the end of the game. You have event cards that you're going to draft, and everyone gets a few at the beginning, but they will help you throughout the game. They can be nasty. There's a top or bottom to those cards. And that's what differs between unfair and funfair.
Because funfair is all nice.
Yeah, it's all nice. There's nothing bad will happen. Well, maybe some bad things will happen to everyone's park, but you can make anything bad happen to another one. In unfair, you can play either way. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. If you want to play just fun, then you can. If you want to play with some of the mean cards, you can add those in too. It's so neat, and just how you're building up those cards, and you want to have as many features as you can on a ride, because that will give you huge points at the end, because you'll multiply, basically not multiply, but it's one of those scoring where, like, if you had 4 attractions, you'd maybe get 20 points. If you had 8 attractions, you'll get 60 points. If you had 10 features, you'd get, like, you know, it's just huge points.
Yeah.
And then money is points as well. So for every the money you collect at the end of the round, because you will collect for all of your customers, and each ride has a certain amount of them on there. So that's the money you'll get in order to buy more rides and buy more features and things. And then some of your workers will give you different bonuses as well. It's just one of those, like, puzzly, trying to figure out how to build the best park by using these cards and building up your rides, and maybe, you know, shutting down some other people's rides. It's just such an awesome game, and I love the art. And there's tons of different decks you can choose from. There's like an aliens one. There's
nice.
So many.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's my number 1. Unfair, but
cool.
Funfair would do just as well.
Unfair or funfair. Nice. Yeah. All right, sounds good. My number 1 is summer camp. So of course this is a summer game, and this is about being a kid going away to summer camp. Now this one is a deck building racing game. So you're building your deck, collecting new cards to add to what you've got going on, and these cards will allow you to move forward along one of the tracks. There's 3 different tracks. Now each time you pass like this little bridge, you get to collect a badge that's at the top, but you also get to collect a badge if you're the first one at the end of the track. So it's kind of like an interesting, do I try to move all my guys along all the bridges, trying to be the first one to get those badge because the first one to get the badge has more value? Or do I want to try to get at the end of the row faster so I get the badge there because it's going to be worth more value as well? And it's so thematic. You got s'mores, you got different things that and then you kind of get little snacks that allows you to kind of do extra things that you couldn't collect. And then depending on where you land, sometimes you'll activate an extra thing that you can do. This game is cute. It is so neat. It's kind of modular, so you can change it up a little bit every time you play it. Plus, there's different decks of cards you can play and add. Like there's a craft one. There's like a board game one. There's like all these different things that you would kind of add that you're trying to work towards at a summer camp thing. And artwork is cute. The colors are super nice, and it's so thematic. And honestly, for a summer themed game, to me, this one belongs at the very top. So that's my number one, summer camp.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It was actually on my short list. I had quite a few that could have fit too on my short list, but that one I've only played once. I would like to play it again, but I did like it. It was really neat. And the cover,
Yeah.
you see the cover of the box. It's so cool.
It's pretty.
Just camping. They need
Yeah.
to make more camping games, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a neat one. So this was our list for our top 9 summer themed games. If you have different games that makes you think of summer, let us know. Now next episode is going to be our episode 100. So we had kind of asked people to kind of put different suggestions, and we got a few suggesting, and one of the ones that I kind of really enjoyed and we decided to do is we're going to be doing our top 100 games of games that we've mentioned in past episodes. So in the past 100 episodes, which ones makes our top 100? So we've both got our list put together now. It's going to be really, really neat. So there'll be like 10 episodes that we're going to be going through this. Now we're probably going to take a break to do a FallCon recap at one point, because FallCon is coming up in a few weeks. And we want to make sure we take a moment to talk about that. Now, before we call it quits, Carla, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at boardgamespecialist, all one word, and I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. What about you?
So I'm on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. I also have a Facebook page called Mel's Board Game Room. We have a Discord channel, so be sure to go on there and join in the fun on there. And my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Make sure to catch episode 100.
Bye. Thanks for listening.